Good evening, and welcome to Cool and Pet Crossover special event. We're going to talk about some stuff tonight. It's going to be kind of fun and exciting. We're getting ready. We have about 10 minutes or so until we're going to go live on TikTok. I wanted to go early here. Just setting up. I'm going to wind up sneezing. Excuse me. I just did my hair, and apparently the spray got in my nose. So we are officially going to go live in just a few minutes. Bear with us. Going into our area, we can go live. We'll probably go live like 5 minutes early. So we're just waiting for Alice to get here. We got some TikTok news. That's sort of based on the Jimmy Kimmel thing. We're going to have to be very careful on TikTok, even right now before anything really hits the fan, but very much so coming very soon. We don't know what's going to go. It looks like I'm trying to move the light. I just noticed that in the live shot. Looks like I'm trying to twist light above my head. I honestly don't know exactly what's causing that effect, but it kind of looks cool on the TikTok. I hope it stays when we go live. Looks like I have a strobe light, which also could be bad. I wonder if I need to back out of it. Because it's looking like the lights are flashing, which can be bad, actually. Let me back out of that and start over. I don't know why. It's being weird with that. I mean, it's not like a strobe light, but it could be annoying for some people. It looks like I'm outside of a cop pulling over someone. Not exactly sure why that's doing that, but let me see if I can't focus it. And it's definitely the lights. Let's try to turn it off and turn it back on, and then we'll see where we're at. All the things behind the show. We'll be kicking off in just a few more minutes. 3 to be exact. Echo, live off. Echo, creation off. Echo, live off. Okay. Let's try this again. Echo, live on. It's still there, but it's not as there. Okay, we'll figure it out. All right. Let me see if I can't flip it real quick. No, it's still showing it. It's weird. The camera's picking up on the pulsatingness of it. I forgot I can't switch it. All right. So, by the way, you can get most of this stuff tonight for free on the site. And we're going to start off talking about TikTok, because like when we start this video for TikTok, it is slightly different than the video that we'll have here. That reminds me, I'm just going to make sure that we have the name right here. K-E.D.U Kink Educator. I don't know if I like it. I'm going to go into the settings and just change really quick. See if we can't change. So, no, I guess not. Is it in my thing? I'm just trying to play with a quick setting with the name, because I don't like that my name is getting buried a little bit, but we'll make do. All right, we got just about 1 minute and 30 seconds before we go live. Whew. Just 1 minute. So get the questions ready. We always do this. We go live like a couple minutes before, and we'll stay live a couple minutes after. TikTok, we have to be very selective. So when we get to the end of it, we'll be at the end of it. And I guess I should. I can't show you guys what's going on TikTok, and I can't show TikTok what's going to be going on YouTube. As a matter of fact, we're going to be kind of talking about being live on the tube of you to get people to come on over to this side of it. But we're going to talk about TikTok at the very beginning of it. And as soon as we hit 65, I want to take the first 5 minutes to talk about what's going on with TikTok. There we go. And away we go. Stay tuned. Hello, TikTok audience. Believe it or not, I did some checking. 1 year ago, we started what was just one monthly show on TikTok that wasn't just a random live. And I'm not talking about Freaky Friday. Freaky Friday was something that we had going on since 2 years ago, which we recently celebrated our 2-year anniversary here on TikTok, talking about kink. I'm very happy to mention the fact that it has been 1 year of doing these kind of special dedicated shows that were advertised over on the Life of Fet or Fet Life. And I'm pretty excited for you all to still be here. Many of you have come and joined us, and you know, I am happy about that. There are some things that we have to go over. And we don't really know where everything is at just as of filming this, unfortunately. That's the way of things sometimes. So let's get to some of this. So I guess the first thing we should mention is that it looks like TikTok has been sold. There's a lot of concern going around, and for good reason. TikTok has been purchased by a group of investors, we're being told. And one of those investors is Oracle, who's already been doing some of the work for TikTok. So I'm not 100% concerned with that, you know? What I'm concerned about is that Oracle is very much supported by our current administration, which can be dangerous for anyone who lives in an alternative lifestyle. And to add pressure to the moment, we believe Meta, and by we, I mean a lot of people, I've been calling it for a while, that Meta was going to find a way to get their hooks into TikTok. And it looks through contractual, at least right now, that TikTok will be doing that. And that's not good for this channel, because I started on Kickstarter, on Facebook, and ran into problems within 5 years of being on it with comic related stuff, especially when it came to the kink books. And they have never been supportive. At one point, taking money to run an ad for Barbara Unleashed, to the point of almost banning us from Facebook, or me. And nowadays, they just censor the shit out of everything. And if that's the future of this app, that is very dangerous for all of us. I am honestly a little scared of what that can mean, because of, to not put it anyway, by the end of the week, rules could change so rapidly that this could be our last conversation like this, especially one that's live. So it's time that you guys all joined us over on the tube that is about you. And same name, just a different channel. I don't really want to dwell on that. We're waiting for our co-host to show up. We are live right now on the tube that is about you. And they're going to be able to see visual representations of things that you're not going to be able to see here. And some of that's not even us. That is just the way that TikTok is right now. And we can't trust with the new algorithm, let alone what's about to happen to this site when they take over, because they're talking about trying to change the algorithm and retrain it. So we really don't know what's going on right now. To be honest, it feels like China's kind of turned the lights off of really running it right now. I almost feel like they implemented a shallower version of the algorithm, and a lot of people have been complaining about views, but we carry on. Like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about that. So I think we've said enough. We don't really know what's happening, but in case this is our last show, let's make it a special show. Tonight, for those who don't know, we're going to be talking about K-E.D.U tools. K-E.D.U, for those who don't know, are kink education, is kink education, and it's kink educational stuff. When we mention that, whenever I say for the remainder of this video and other videos, whenever you hear me say kink plus, that is the reference to being kinky, compelled, or having a fetish by something within the program. We have now reached an amazing 14 days of not being taken off of live privilege. Let's see if we can continue that trend. I am currently waiting for our co-host, Alice, and we are going to go with it and enjoy ourselves. Now, if you go to the YouTube, I see some people jumping ship over there. You guys can ask deeper questions, and we will answer them, if not during this live program, but on top of that, at the end of the show, where this will continue. We do not have the limitations of 1 hour like we do on the TikTok. Okay. Hopefully all of you guys got the message that you are all supposed to have downloaded the Desire Index and BDSM survey for tonight's class. If you did not do that, don't worry. They are now free. I have given them out to be free for all on the site Your New Comics. And I lost my sign that had that period and then the 3 magic letters that go behind most websites, if not all the ones you guys are probably used to using. You know, the one that starts with a C, has an M, and then there's an O in between. Things we can't say on air, that is one way to get around it. So we're going to go over that. First thing I'm going to ask everyone showing up tonight is, do you guys have any questions, any suggestions of other K-E.D.U materials that you guys would like to mention during the show? We can definitely talk about that. And again, to be able to see the stuff that we're going to have tonight, and the co-host has showed up, Alice is in the house. And let me make sure that I have the volume up so you guys can hear them as well.
Hello.
How you doing? Just going over the basics. Warning everyone that this might be our last one, depending on how TikTok changes, but we'll continue to go on the tube that is you. You ready for this, Alice?
Yep.
So do you have anything you can kind of offer up? I looked through some stuff, and honestly, I didn't feel confident in any of it. Promoting it, it left me with too many questions and seemed like too much of a cash grab. And I'm not a fan of people taking advantage of anyone. So
no, I really couldn't find anything. I tried. There was only ever one other form that I would have offered up to people, but it was a Google Doc, which some people may or may not be comfortable with. And I cannot find it anywhere on the internet anymore.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I will say that those watching right now, I think that just changed the view. Yes, it did. Luckily, not a problem. This is why we're here and not on other places, because it went to organized pages. So we're going to be looking through the Desire Index. Just so you guys know, they recently changed up Adobe. So if you ever use the Adobe Acrobat, I think I'm saying that.
Yep, Acrobat.
You can now actually put font in there, adjust things. Like, it's become a lot more powerful of a program. And if you download the Desire Index, we're going to go over the quickly, which is some of the contents. You get discussion of consent. It talks about why we have a Desire Index. It talks about red flags, gives you some tools for safer play, like acronyms and action words and trainee mentor mode. Now, some of this is being updated for the next version, which will drop next year, but these are the things we wanted to give. Now, the Desire Index is meant to be for beginners, whether you're beginning a new dynamic or you have someone who's brand new that you're dealing with, or you're brand new. It's a great way to jump in. It even includes a section that says it's okay to be new and talks about munches and Googling it. And for some reason, I spelled it right. I think I spelled it right. Google always throws me in my dyslexia. Managing expectations, which I thought was an important one, the touch factor and how important human touch really is, and then talking about not rushing the process. Now we're not gonna go over all of this. This is all free. You can get it right now, download it. Again, yournewcomics.com. And we even talked about kinky dating apps, which have only gotten worse, I feel like, in the last few years from what I've heard, and your BDSM to go bag falling out of the play scene. And then we even gave you talk about BDSM dynamics and BDSM red light, green light, which actually has a typo in it. It goes red light, red light. This is what happens when you edit your own book, ladies and gentlemen. And we talk about the injuries and damages. Now, the next one is going to be far better than this one. And then we get to a negotiation form. Now, you have done pickup play, have you not?
Yeah, I've done pickup play.
How did you?
It's been a while, but.
Well, I've never done pickup play. It's not something that ever interested me, and I'm not trying to poo-poo it. I'm saying literally, it just was not an interest in me. How did you negotiate without anything like that? Like, how did that work? I'm always curious about that. For me,
I took a what is on the table approach. Basically, shared a list of activities that I would be willing to do with that person, as opposed to trying to go through the entire possible list and all the scenarios. So, like, limited it to, say, impact, and said, these are the kind of toys I'd be willing to use, and these are the areas I'm willing to have hit. You know, it kept it a very narrow scope of what was allowed. And that's the only way I've ever done pickup play, is I have a very limited scope and clearly state if it wasn't discussed and I didn't specifically say, yep, I'm okay with that, I consent to that, then it's not up for you to do. That's for me doing it as a bottom most often.
Now, at the same idea of that, right? So, did you get anyone's ID before you played with them? Did you get like phone numbers, like that kind of information in case something were to go wrong, and or for aftercare that went beyond the event?
So I'm trying to think. No, I did not get IDs or anything because it was at like it wasn't like one night party events. These would be at like conventions and things like hotel takeover type events. So I did not get ID for those, but also asexual play. And there were quite a few DMs around. So with a house safe word, it is a risk I took on by not getting that information. And then as far as aftercare, we had negotiated a little bit of immediate aftercare and a check-in a couple days out via phone call. So I had their phone number, but not anything more substantial than that, at least at the time that we initiated play. They had, a couple of them have ended up at some point or another, they became a recurring play partner. A couple of them was for one time and it was okay. And then we, went on our way after a few days.
And now, in this day and age, and because we're going over some stuff, this is not picking on people for pickup play. One of the reasons I'm giving this form is you guys could actually print this form, and especially Adobe, and take it with you. It is kind of important you get some information, especially if you're going to be a submissive, and God forbid something happens, you have the information to hold them accountable, and to tell other people about it. Because phone numbers nowadays, like you can get a fake phone number very easily using all the apps they have, the WhatsApp app and all that stuff. Alice, do you want to just read the comments today on YouTube, or do you want me to read them? So
I can do that.
All right, yeah.
So we have Arcane got you here. There used to be a few versions of that. I'm thinking they might have been talking to the Google document I was mentioning, because that's about the time stamp. I do like that there's timestamps for these comments. It makes it much more handy to read. Yeah. And then they also comment, I find pickup play difficult because of the limited tertiary information. Usually it was in curated spaces where vetting to a degree had already taken place. Yeah, and that's exactly why I now don't do pickup play. I don't go to environments as frequently where I have as much trust in the education of the folks attending, or am not going to venues where I have as much trust in the DMs or venue folks running it. Now, that's not to say that they're inherently bad DMs or bad venues. I may just be a little bit jaded because I've been in this community a long time and I've seen a lot of things go wrong. And after a while, you start to realize there's a lot more that could go wrong than I thought about, 5-10 years ago when I first started doing it and more frequently did do pickup play.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a risk. Everything in here is
It is.
a factor. It is, and understand everything we do is consensual abuse. And then consensual is important, and people can overstep very easily, sometimes accidentally. Sometimes, honestly, you can accidentally cross the line if the negotiations aren't great. That's what makes this really well. And as Alice said, everything that they did was like kind of, this is only on the menu tonight. Some people, even being nice, will just be nice about it, think something is covered under something it's not, right? And a lot of times it's just people looking to take advantage. There is a huge danger in playing with someone without a safety net. And that safety net is thorough negotiation. A form like this can make it quick. Both people can kind of like check mark it when you're there. And it just makes people, I feel like, a little more honest. You can do the one thing. You also have a poo-poo platter that comes with this one. And it has 2 different sheets for everyone. It even has, on this one, it has the more advanced one, like not just basics, but it also allows a more thorough negotiation. There's 1 page that really gets, 2 pages, that really gets into it. And it's definitely based more on the submissives, what you're going to be doing to them. After play confessions. I think this is something a lot of people don't do enough. What do you think, Alice?
After play confessions. I think this is really underrated. And I think doing it, a lot of people do it immediately after, but not a lot of people come back and do it in a few days out or even a week or so out, right? A lot of folks will do it immediately when all the hormones are still running through the body and you're still coming down. Honestly, I personally, as both when I bottom and when I top, next to the actual scene itself and all the lovely cuddles and aftercare, like as far as my development as a play partner, that is the most critical part of this whole play cycle as I think of it, for my growth and development as a play partner.
Absolutely true. And we have another comment.
We do, and I like this. It goes, vetting with critical thinking is like lube. You can always use more.
And it's never about, what is the thing? Something like verify. Never deny, but verify.
Yes. I think that's a really critical one too, is never deny but verify, meaning never straight out call somebody you're vetting a liar to their face, but also make sure you're vetting everything they say. Like verify that if they say that they have been in the lifestyle for say 10 years and they've given you permission to look at their history and dive into it or reach out to some people they know, verify that they've actually been in the lifestyle for 5 years. Don't just assume they're telling you the truth.
And as we've talked about, diaper is a good acronym to actually get consent. It's did I ask permission, extensive representation. The representation is the opportunity to ask each other questions. As Alice has pointed out, one of the best questions to ask if you're a dominant or submissive is to have them recite the risks you're about to do, especially with what you're about to play with. And as a submissive, ask the dominant, remind me, how many times have you done this? When did you start doing this? How skilled are you at this? And have you made a mistake? Those are great questions to ask. And if you ask a dominant if they made a mistake and they say no, run. Don't walk. Don't change Instagram things. That everyone makes a mistake. Now, the mistake might be minor and silly. Like when I first got in the scene, I didn't realize I shouldn't have used my real name. Okay, at least they're open to the fact that mistakes can happen. When someone says they've never made a mistake, there's ego there, and that can be very dangerous. I don't
Well,
know any dom that hasn't made a mistake. I know submissives who admit to mistakes when they first got in.
yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying is if somebody says they haven't made a mistake, it's one of it, to me, it falls into one of two buckets. They're either so new on their kinky journey, the opportunity has yet to present itself, because you don't stay in this lifestyle for long without a mistake occurring. Or two, they are for some reason withholding an event that occurred, whether they're forgetting that they had that mistake because they did handle it, or they have memory issues, or they're straight up lying about it. That's what you have to figure out.
And Caffeinate Shans chimed in over on our TikTok and said, I made a ton of mistakes in the beginning. Geez, yeah, that's exactly true. And remember, we are on the tube that's about you as well, so you guys can ask deeper questions and the conversation will go a little longer. Now we're talking about one of the last pages on the Desire Index, which again, you guys can get for free on the Your New Comics website, is defining your dynamic. Now, I when we made this, I wasn't totally there and really understood what porch time was. I would add porch or garage time. It's the time to tune up your dynamic where you can step out of your roles and talk freely. That should be able to happen. It's always a role. It's a role that we take very serious. It's a role we're playing, but it's a role. And we play that with each other. We're still human beings and things are still going to happen. And things evolve. You get more comfortable with the person. You start to be able to tell them the truth. You stop trying to impress them or do things to make them happy. And you start going, I really don't like that. I just take it for you. And it changes conversations. Rightfully so. The longer you're with someone, the more you trust them, you might let everything go further. And we have Caffeinate Dancing. Oh, yeah, I forgot we are on the tube. We are on the tube. That's right. And there's one page and then the BDSM server, which we're going to move to next. Do you have any questions about anything right now? This is a pause time between breaks and all that. Ask them right now. So we're going to be going on to a much more in-depth thing. Alice, anything comes to mind before we switch to the next K-EDU book that we have for free?
I guess the only other little bit of advice I'd give is when you are doing vetting, try and ask more open-ended questions as opposed to things that you can just answer with a simple yes, no. Nope. And then real quick, we have another comment from Arcane. Cognitive dissonance is a thing also in kink. Self-examination with critical thinking is a wise habit.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Today I made a video first pointing out that our lifestyle is not meant to be accepting of just anything. It's meant to be accepting of any gender, any race, any orientation. It is not one of these things that we're open to anyone with a political view that might be harmful to the people within our community. And it's not open to abusive behavior. Joining this community does not negate consent. And then the other comment I had made is the fact that it takes critical thinking to be in this. We are going to challenge some things. I recently spent the better part of 2 weeks discussing the fact that BDSM is consensual abuse. And that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, but it's the truth. And it is especially something we need to be able to openly talk about. And I think a lot of times people come in and we get this, and Alice was here for this one over the summer. Remember the consent, the enthusiastic consent. That's making.
Oh, that one comes around every so often, but yeah, surface level, it sounds great, right? It's not until you dig deeper into, maybe some more high risk types of play, or you really face down the fact that how do you measure an emotion across a populace consistently, and it kind of starts to fall apart.
Yeah, and I mean we don't want to go into it too much, but consent, just as consent, and being put on a pedestal is an important word that shouldn't be watered down or added to is really the thing. The only thing that should ever go next to consent, and that's what the comma only, is informed. Because all consent should be informed. All right, so you guys ready to dive into the BDSM survey? This one's a lot more in-depth. I'm just double checking.
I say let's go.
I was making sure we didn't have any comments because I did say people could ask.
We did not have a comment, but Caffeinated has now joined us on the tube.
No, they went back. They decided TikTok was easier.
Fair enough.
But we will have the later show on the YouTube. So this is just, as we're looking at it here, we have the basics, which is similar to the other one, but this one's just a slightly more in-depth and includes allowing your partner, because there are some things we don't ever talk about, like not just sexuality, but exactly what you want. You know, when you get into a relationship and people kind of beat around the bush and assume, well, they must be monogamous because I'm monogamous. They must be polyamorous because I'm polyamorous. Well, what if they're a swinger? What if they're asexual? This gives you an opportunity to fill information out without talking about it and letting your partner approach the conversation. So you don't got to look for the door in. There was at some point here, there's also talk about the STI. I had this question asked. Is it a valid question to ask potential partners? Of course it is. Of course it is. You can always ask the partner when they were last tested and all that, and hopefully they don't lie about it. Then it gives a little section for the BDSM information, kind of giving someone an idea of where you're at, some of the roles you might best identify with, and more information about that. This is meant to have a conversation. So we have injuries and damages, red flags, which this is an older version of it. BDSM red light. Clearly, I just took one from here and moved it over. BDSM checklist, which kind of starts going over. Now, this I might change because there was my fetish, yes, willing to try, negotiate. I think I'm just going to put kink plus in the future and remove yes and go with willing to try, and instead of hard limits, boundaries, just to make it more clear language. And the maybe I really want to leave negotiable, because I think there's a big difference between something being a kink plus, something that you need in play, versus a yes. A yes is, yeah, we can do that. You're good for it, but it might not be for you, but you don't mind it. It's there. But a willing to try, that's like, okay, I'm willing to try. Let's talk. Let's see if we can do it. So if we're going to do this, it has to be in like a try aspect, right? And then we have negotiable, which means you have to talk about it. How are you going to perform it? I need to ask some questions about this. And then we have a maybe, which again says if someone says no, now is not for now, and revisit later, it always stays no. A maybe is a no for 24 hours at least. A no is a no. A hard limit will now be a boundary, and that'll be it. And then there were some little extra notes, and this became the harder problem of this, is that this is very in-depth. So like trying to figure out the smaller things that we can add to it and make it easier to fill out is something that I still continue. And I did change a lot of these things, trying to make them easier. But when I first entered into this, I wanted it to be very intense, because I found one thing out. When you're filling this out, you're full of shit in the very beginning, and then you start filling it out very honestly just to get it over with. You know what I mean? You don't stop and go, do I want to tell the person this or not? And you just answer it, and then people kind of forget they answered honestly, and you get the real truth from them. Do we want to stop and take any comments or anything like that?
Yeah, we can do. We got one new one. I love the discussion around consent being a living thing and can be removed after reflection, experience, and additional information. And that's exactly how consent should always be treated, no matter what kind of dynamic you're in, even a vanilla one. It should be a living thing. As you grow, your consent may need to change.
And Caffeination again says, I like the survey gives opportunity to disclose preference to compare with potential partner, which leads to discussions. Exactly. This is a discussion maker. And this is also, if you both honestly read it, you have like a fundamental starting point. Hey, you read it, right? Okay, so now I can have these expectations. Let's talk about these expectations. Even understanding consent, which I put in here. And I don't think it has to be updated at all. I had read it recently. And then we have the adult intimacy fun checklist, which we can't say the word because we're on TikTok right now, but you know what it is. It's the thing that most people are obsessed about and confuse our lifestyle as being. The things that you might be into. And there's nothing wrong with it. We do talk a lot about how it is not just inherently that, but there's nothing wrong with being into it and being kink plus either. So it's just giving room for everyone to be involved. And then we have the bondage checklist, which gives you an idea. And I like this one too, because I feel like it will give people the opportunity to kind of on their own look up some of this stuff. You know what I mean?
I think that's that. So I already did this one, months and months and months ago. I actually need to come back and revisit it. But I think that was one of my favorite things is even terms at one point I knew, I still found myself looking up and having to review them.
Yeah.
Like for example, you have the shrimp tie there.
Yeah.
I couldn't visualize that one in my brain anymore because it'd been so long since I came across it.
I
I'm not
constantly,
that flexible. I can't do that one.
I always look up shrimp tie and I'm like, oh yeah, I do know that one. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. It's one of those that because like it's rare anyone's going to be able want
Yeah.
shrimp tie to begin with. Then we have the types of scenes you'd be into, from age play to humiliation to spanking to wrestling, and everything in between that we could think of to put in there that we thought was serious. We have a dungeon checklist. This is for if you get to go to parties with different furniture. Obviously, if you're buying the furniture for home or your partner has it at home, that's going to be its own conversation. And of course, there's the equipment checklist. Again, this was a moment more to kind of make awareness. Like, hey, there are these things out there. You should check them out. And then tools of pain got kind of moved over. Clothespins, which we even talked about for which part of the body, because I think that's an important conversation. Just because someone says they like nipple clamps doesn't mean they want nipple clamps other places. Did you have a
Yeah.
question now?
No, honestly, I think that was one of the. I think that your checklist is one of the first ones I've seen. That's like, but okay, what about it on this specific part of the body? That's the breakdown you don't typically see. That is very useful because, like you said, you might be okay with a clothespin, on your booty, but one, in that meaty bit between your fingers, maybe not so much.
Yeah. Everyone's different too, and I think that's a big problem with dominance is that they especially play with a lot of people. They expect people to meet them where they are when that's not what you do. The dom shouldn't be dictating the spot. It's always the submissive that should be dictating the spot of where you're playing because they're an individual and they get that choice. And I've even said I think it's coercion to tell someone, well, if you're not going to play my way, I'm not going to play with you. That's the definition of coercion.
Yeah, yeah. That really is one of the most obvious types that happens way too frequently in this lifestyle.
Now, we can't even really talk about this. There's an edge play checklist, and we're going to quickly move on because we can't even really talk about it on TikTok. And then we have tips for better play. This is some really good stuff. And I've had people complain, oh my goodness, it's so hard to read this. Well, this was a comic book at first, and it is very hard on a digital screen. Just zoom in. There's a lot of information like this. This sold really well because this itself could be a dynamic starter. The only reason I made the Desire Index was really to establish more fundamentals between partners, and the BDSM survey was really like if you feel like you're past the beginning parts with you and your partner, this is a good refresher and a ground to start on. But if you have anyone new, that's it. And you don't want to give either one of these books to someone who's vanilla. It's over their head. It's going to go over their head. And then you have some role play here. We have some types of scenes. And then falling out of the play scene, which we talked about earlier. I think that's so important we don't talk about that. And tips for better play, is that in this twice for some reason? It is. I must not have caught that when I made this PDF. No one's even mentioned it to me, but this is free, so I'm not too nervous about it being there. Because this was only ever made to be free. And then this one, it's intense. It's body stimulation. It really makes you think about what you want touched, how you want it touched. It is very intense. The newer version does make it a little more simplistic. And then again, we have the negotiation forms. Go ahead.
I was going to say it is a lot, but regardless of if you're going into even if you don't have a consistent play partner, just to know yourself better, I recommend going through this.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so beneficial to think about this. And you could start with this list and then whittle it down to say your pickup play index card of what from this huge checklist you're willing to put on that index card for those kind of scenarios.
Yeah, and it's just really quickly checking something because it's weird that we didn't get more people on the tube, and I wonder if somehow I put the wrong day for our event. I have done that with the dyslexia. Sometimes I put it on the wrong day. No one's looking. No, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Okay, we're good. So I guess we just didn't get a lot of people, which is okay because this is going to be on YouTube and people will be able to find it on YouTube.
It's still for us up here in the Northeast. It's still part of the beginning of the school year, so they haven't even had a month in yet. So I'm sure there's still some weeknight scramble there.
And that's fun. That's why we always update
Yep.
it, make it so you guys can find it. You can find it later on where you need it to be. So on the tube that is used. Okay, we have a couple.
We
people.
have a comment.
Go ahead, go with yours, and I'll go with mine.
So from Arcane, we all develop sensitivity differently throughout our lives. Couple this with the neurological patterns we reinforce gives us all a unique set of pluses and minus. I'm assuming they mean on these checklists, and it does, which is why, and it's not even consistent for one person for the entirety of their existence. So it's definitely not constant across humans.
Yeah, I always say that if you're in a long-term dynamic, at least once a year, I like to say there should be a 6-month check-in. Hey, anything going on we want to kind of drag into the good old garage and work on together? Anything we need to change, you go over it at 6 months, and then at a 1-year part, you kind of almost go back over it together, start over. Like I'll sit down with my partner and we have our book and we'll go over our book and we'll look page by page and say what has changed here. Coming off of our TikTok channel, we have Caffeinated Gigant saying, I've never seen a comprehensive list like this before. Wished I had access 2 years ago. That's the whole point. I've been building this for about 30 years now, believe it or not, because I wanted something. And I always say you have to have paperwork. You have to do paperwork to play with me. Welcome to paperwork. And that's not a joke. I don't play with people without. There's only like 3 or 4 people I've ever played with that didn't fill it out entirely, but they all read it and they all understood where I came from. And the people who didn't take it serious enough, they didn't stay partners with me very long. You know, that's also a good indicator. This is something we'll need to be putting in. This is the effort you need to put in. And I think that if you force people to just do even a few pages before pickup play and you went over some things, there'd be less problems at venues.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely agree with that. That it gives you that consistency as well that can help take some of the emotion out of your decision making.
Yeah. And this also answers some questions because you're going to hear something and you're like, oh, I don't like that. And it's comprehensive because we deserve something comprehensive. And Caffeinated Shenanigans came back with it is the newer version the one that is available for download now? No. I'm still working a couple. We should have actually released. We tried to kickstart it last year during the election cycle, and man, at the beginning of the program, I talked about why I'm afraid of Meta. But like even on TikTok, we just got slaughtered talking about Kink for some reason at that time. There was nothing wrong with it. We weren't doing anything wrong, but because we were talking about it, I think in a way that like really was put together, there were some people who just took a offense. I mean, Facebook's always been hard, but we got really beat up by the AI on Facebook. So anything I posted instantly got taken down. And on TikTok here, especially here, I'm a little more careful with how I promote things. I'm like, hey, gee whiz, guys, I'm on Kickstarter. It'd be great for you to support me. And like, you know, I didn't light a fire anyone's ass. So we wound up canceling it. But when we canceled it, I looked at it and realized we could make it better. And I spent the better part of the last year really doing critical thinking. So the next one's going to be a lot more punched up and a lot more less art. It's going to be a lot more to the point, a lot more about helping people build their dynamics. So I'm excited
for
the project.
I'm excited for that too. And if I can, one of the things that I did have a friend of mine that looked at it, and they are like visually sensitive. So what we ended up having to do for them was actually print it in grayscale.
Oh, it's not a bad idea.
Just to help, because the colors for them were overwhelming. It made it hard for them to get through.
So I can show this one. So this is the working prototype right now. And we'll probably...
You're not very big on the screen in the tube.
Yeah, sure. Let me give the bigger view. Popping it up. Here we go. So this is more so what we're going after. And the idea with this one is as much as I can to try to keep it as digital as I can. And again, it's not going to be a big profit maker. Hey, what's going on, Sage? It's not going to be a comic book format either, because people, I almost have to take the art out from the comic book that tells the story to make people appreciate it more, as weird as that sounds, because the art makes it look fictional, and nothing about this is actually fictional. I was just using a fictional character to tell the story in the original versions, but we're going to go clean and make it. I always wanted to like print it like a cookbook binder if I could, where you could update it over time, but things have gotten so much harder with printing, and it's a lot, and it's a lot to ask people to pay for. Because if the last time I checked pricing, this is 2 years ago, outside of the whole 2020 situation, things were still out of whack, it would have cost me charging like $25 to $50 per book to someone. And I'm not trying to make money off people's backs. To do this right, I want to do digitally. If it gets out there and people get excited about it and we get a deal with a bigger publisher, they'll be able to drag the cost down to bare nothing. And we could do an honest thing with Books of a Million and Barnes and Nobles, which is having a resurgence. But I mean, here we are tonight talking about K-EDU things. We're an hour in, just about on YouTube, and over on the TikTok. We're what, about 20? No, we're a little more than 20, 40 minutes in. So we're 40 and 46 minutes. We have had 15 downloaded, but the horse to water moment, like I'm literally bringing the horses to the water and they're not drinking. So like, you know, it's the most frustrating thing about, to me, the lifestyle and being the kink educator for all of you, is I'm giving something out that I could sell for money, and none of you are taking the opportunity to download it the way you should. And then you'll come to me later and be like, and this happens in my own slice of the community, people will be like, well, I wish there was something. You literally took it the last time you hung out with me. You came to where I gave out free comic books, because I try to do that in my community, physical copies, and you never read what you took, because I can tell, because of the way you're talking right now. You have to put effort in this lifestyle. This lifestyle,
Mhm.
if you're not willing to put the effort in, I'll tell you right now, I would never play with you. We have some comments.
We only got a bunch of symbols on YouTube as new comments.
Do we do the develop sensitivity?
We already did that one. Yep.
Okay, just making sure. I know
No
I
problem.
kind of talked about it, but I always want to make sure, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hosting duties and all. Sage says hello. Once again, hello to Sage. I don't know why my head is pounding tonight. Yes, less comic book aesthetic, more educational content aesthetic. And that's, you know, it is. And even like one of the things I want to look at when I'm stepping back right now is to actually check, hey, does this look too much like a comic book? As much as it kills me, I know people don't take comic books as seriously as they take other books. So trying to be mindful of that, you know?
Well, and I'm excited to see the new layout, because I like what you have there. So I'm excited to see how it changes a little bit. But also, I think a more printer friendly version for people that choose to do it at home will be really nice too. Because I know there's a couple of folks that I'm friends with that they literally have a binder where they keep important dynamic paperwork in, and that's the kind of thing they print off, you know, once a year, and to see how it changes. You got your copy from 2024. All right, time to do it for 2025, and you can see. Because also, and it's completely okay if on a reevaluation nothing changes. That is very valid and not a concern. It just means you know exactly what you like. But also, if things do change, it is that good time to be able to shift stuff out of the maybe into the willing to try category more. You know, or, okay, this isn't a willing to try. We did that this past year. It's now a yes for me. You know, those are little wins you can celebrate. Or it could be we tried it and it's a no.
Or people fall like, and we've talked about how BDSM isn't therapy, right? But it is therapeutic. And sometimes when someone reaches the end of that therapeutic journey, they don't want to do that anymore. They've gotten what they wanted out of it. And it's okay to embrace what your partner changes. in a lifetime that's long enough within kink, you probably have, especially for submissives, I forgot the term, but it's like up and flows, something like that.
Ebb and flow.
Ebb and flow, yeah. It changes as you go, and you don't gotta get upset your partner or get worried. They're gonna still do kinky shit with you. You just might be trying some new stuff, and a lot of times people come back to it. You don't want to force a situation. You always the dom's job. We don't talk about this at all, but a dom's job's pretty hard because often a dom is tasked with challenging the submissive. Can you push me? Can you take me to new levels? And there's a huge amount of failure trying to do that, even when you're doing everything right, because especially if there's any trauma attached to it or just in general, feeling things for the first time is so unique and so different and so scary. The first time you do it versus the 100th time, totally different. It's probably going to be most intense a lot of times the very first time you do it. Even though later it might hurt more and it might be more intense, there's just that new car smell that comes with it.
Very true.
Okay, let's see. I think we have another message over here. Amazon Chick, hello. I think Amazon Chick is watching. I'm not totally sure. TikTok's being weird with the numbers.
No.
1 minute 0, the other it was 8, and then it was 2. And I was like, okay. I very much like the idea of using it to reevaluate your preferences as your experiences evolve. And we're all evolving. We're all on the merry-go-round with each other, and we're all changing as we go, and there's nothing wrong with that. We want growth. We want to be better, different people as we go. So as far as other things go that we might suggest, the new topping book was pretty good by the people who brought you The Ethical Slut. That's one I would kind of suggest.
You did like new topping? Because I'm used to people saying they preferred bottoming over the topping book.
Bottoming romanticized it so much, and it felt like this is my experience. This is how. And this is the thing I have a lot of education stuff, and maybe it's the neurodivergent in me that sees it and understands it. When I teach, and I think Alice knows this, we've hung out in the background enough and talked in the background. What I teach is not who I am. What I teach is what's best. It's centric. And that's why we look at things so critically, and it's how can we teach people? What do we need them to teach? Like the hardest pill to swallow recently, I think for a lot of people, has been our talk about it being consensual abuse. And it's hard because there's a bad term with that word. That word sounds like it shouldn't reflect something we all love. And I love this lifestyle. Love it. But it's honest. And we have to be able to go through those deep thought, like we talked at the beginning, critical thinking, to get to these points, to have these conversations so we can feel more grounded in the moment. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Well, and even with that, like it's very recently, within the last handful of years, that New York State has shifted their laws to where what we do is legal. But it's pretty much, in the terms, the only difference between it being assault or battery is consent.
And that's why when we talk about enthusiastic consent, it becomes so dangerous, because how do you go to a judge and say, no, I wasn't enthusiastic when I said yes. And you could be valid. You could have been intimidated into it. You could have been scared for your well-being and saying yes because it was dangerous. The court's only going to hear that you said yes. And setting the standard there, and it's a bigger conversation, and we're starting those bigger conversations. We're not intending to go into your house. Look, if you want someone to be enthusiastic, or you want to enthusiastically consent or not consent, you do you, boo. I'm not the police. I'm not going to knock your bedroom door down or the dungeon door down and tell you you're doing it wrong. I'm teaching something. And if you don't like it, come at me with facts. Come at me with an opposing view that makes sense, and I'll adapt. I mean, I'll tell you, one of my biggest things in the last 2 years was CNC, and CNC being redefined and me not liking it at first. I hated it. Not because I didn't agree with it, because in my mind, I was terrified that someone new to the scene was going to stumble into a dungeon, agree to do a CNC, and not realize what they just signed up for. But then that comes back to making sure that we're all speaking the same language. And I think we're out of comments right now.
Yeah, there's nothing new on Tube.
All right. Well, I do think we have to sign off just because of time constraints over on our. Let me I'm checking right now to see how long. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes, but we don't have to necessarily carry these conversations on longer than they are with the new issues coming with TikTok. So I think we're going to say goodnight because we've come to the end of it on TikTok. We'll stick around on the tube for you for another 5 minutes, maybe, unless some people show up. Because right now I'm looking at the fact that we have 0 and we're about to hit the 1 hour mark anyway. So if you want to join us, we're going to be over on the tube that's about you. And if not, we'll see you at the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Any last words?
Have a great night.
That works.
It works.
All right. So I think that went really well. And we actually managed to make it through another live without an issue, which is always good. The numbers are horrible right now, though.
Yeah. Concerning for that app.
Yeah. We're off TikTok, only on YouTube now, so we can speak a little more freely.
Yeah. But like as far as your checklist goes, I do think it's probably one of the most comprehensive I've been able to find like in the last year.
30 years to build it.
Yeah.
So and
which
that was 5 years ago. So
yeah, which like major props to you to coming up with such a inclusive list, an exhaustive list, but also how concerning that I've never seen anything as good before except one time in 12 years.
Yeah, in my 30 years when I first got here, there seemed to be a lot more, but they were more spreadsheet-like, you know? Are you like it was like, are you a top or a bottom? Very basic, very general.
Yeah. And this one was definitely a spreadsheet style, but it still had a scale and things. And it was mainly mostly extensive just because of how many different rows of things there were, basically, like either activities or furniture and things like that. But I think you trying to add structure to no versus maybe versus willing to try versus yes. I think that is more in the way Kinksters tend to think, right? Like, I don't have an issue with doing it, but I've never done it before, and I don't know if I'll like it. So we can try it, but no pressure that I need to like it. And it needs to be probably like a lower protocol type of scene. Right? And I wonder sometimes if people catch that, like what the difference is between we're testing it out kind of scene as opposed to like actually doing it in like a non-limited scene, so to speak. Limited as in testing or demoing versus not.
Yeah, and look, I meant to say this. Let me say this on YouTube while we're still recording. Ladies and gentlemen, some people have come to me and be like, hey, do I really have to put in my legal information to get some of the things off your site? The quick answer is if you're buying something, I need your real address to send it to you. However, if you're not buying anything, I don't care what you put. Put fake shit. Download the books. We have that set up to protect people who are using their charge card information. I don't data mine. I don't sell the data. And Bluehost, for their credit, has not let any one of my sites get hacked in the last 10 years. And I can tell you, they have tried to hack the comic book I won, Comic Con Online or Comic Con, still has the creators written in. That thing tries to get hacked every 3 to 4 months, and no one has ever gotten through. Credit to Bluehost for being able to do that, because Bluehost knows when it's being hacked. And I remember the one time they came close, I called Bluehost and they're like, "We're on it. We're actually learning some things. They're going to be adding new security, but they're not getting through." And they actually stopped my website when they realized it and took it offline for like an hour with my permission. And I was like, absolutely. Just so they could build in something so they knew what was coming. So I've been very
amazing
time with Bluehost. Bluehost has done really well for me. So I don't care about your information, guys. I really don't. I'm giving it away for free. The only reason I can't just give it away on Google Docs on a bigger way is, believe it or not, there's a limitation of how many people can actually download something on Google Docs. And I'm planning for this to be downloaded hundreds of times. Well, on Google Docs, I didn't. I think the thing is about 1,000 downloads a year, and I almost went over it one year. That's how much I do with like digital stuff. So this just made it easier. It comes directly off my site. I don't have to worry about it till we get to 1 million views. And when I get to 1 million views, I will be like, fuck. Like, I don't know.
Well, and if I can too, there are with everything going on in the world, and that's all I'm going to say, I am coming across increasingly kinksters who will not interact with things via Google, regardless of what it is. So I feel like at this point, not being through Google is almost a benefit, as opposed to a hindrance.
Yep. And like I said, use an alias, don't care.
Everybody can be John Smith.
If you want to use your address and have it sent, change your name, by all means do that. You guys can, if you don't know, you can get gift cards if you're worried about purchase stuff. You can buy yourself like a Visa card to buy the kinky implements. This is shit we used to do in the 90s that we've forgotten about because it has become more accepted. But I'll be honest, on this tonight and everything that could be about to change for TikTok, it's very depressing to me. I feel like we might lose that audience. And I mean, we've been attacked. You knew for the last 90 days, it feels like we were under constant attack until just recently. No matter what we did, we were in trouble.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I wouldn't say it's probably gone away. There might be a momentary lull in it just as things are transitioning and they're getting their feet under them. But I fully expect the attacks to come back, unfortunately.
I expect them to be worse. If it's Meta is involved in any way,
it's going to be worse. Yeah.
They're going to kill it. They're going to kill it. And it's going to be about ad buy rates. I used to like Facebook. I used to thank Facebook. I will never forgive Facebook for deleting all of the live videos that they said they were going to be archived. They just decided one day, fuck it, we'll go back on what we said. Especially during 2020, they said, oh, we're not going to get rid of these memories. This is a great moment. 5 years later, just like September 11th, I hate to make the comparison, but we all said we wouldn't forget. We forgot. We forgot. I mean, even the way it's being taught now is dumb. I think Jimmy Kimmel winning was a great thing, but like, they're not even a full win yet. They're just back on the air. But I'm terrified of censorship, and like doing this program tonight, I wonder if this is our last program like this, that we're going to be able to do with this, where it's not just going to be going to TikTok and having Freaky Friday for 10 minutes until we're taken off the air, and that channel's finally shut down. And I wonder, don't be surprised if TikTok comes along and makes every one of us creators choose one channel and one channel only.
Yeah.
That's a huge meta thing.
Yeah.
You could get maybe two. You'll have what they call a professional profile, which dumb shit to begin with. So, but that's it. My throat's actually a little sore. I don't even know why. But I'm gonna just call it a day. And I mean, generally speaking, this was our 1 year anniversary of doing shows like this, believe it or not. So I'm glad we at least got 1 year, and we're starting to build up YouTube. So we always get a few more people, a few more views, and we're not going to stop. We just might be relocating. So hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, because we're actually allowed to say words like subscribe and actually talk about things. The comics are available on yournewcomics.com. See, I don't have to sound like a fucking child here.
Oh, yeah, you can actually use adult words.
Yeah. I had a thing where it said .com. I don't know where I put it, but like, I'm so over having to act like an idiot while people are allowed to tell horrible things about the LGBT communities and transgender rights. But here I am, heaven forbid I say the word fucking sex. And you have all these like fucking adults running around giving their content to minors and bragging about the views they're getting.
Yeah, and that's what's so frustrating is what you don't realize is we're probably the last people you have to worry about, because if we find out you're watching the content and you're underage, block.
Yeah.
We will block you because we don't want you there.
Yep.
Wait, come back when you're 18.
And it's just better for you because you're probably not ready to process the information. But
Yeah.
Grumpy Rob is going to go back into his cave. I will hopefully see you next week because we don't know. Well, you'll see us on YouTube. I'm not on TikTok anymore. I'll hopefully see you all on TikTok soon next week as well. There'll be more content coming out this week, of course. I'm not done with I never finish. Like, even nowadays, I record videos and then you get something every day. I don't know what's happening with TikTok. I can tell you their algorithm changed.
Oh,
They
yeah.
changed the Chinese version of the algorithm so they could sell America a broken down, weaker, like this is like decaf algorithm, you know?
Oh, yeah. All of the, like, what do I say? All of the, like, news is off, but I'm finding, like, creators that I haven't looked at in, like, over 9 months are suddenly back in my FYP.
Yep. And that's on
But all
purpose.
the current event stuff is gone. Shocking. Not really.
Yeah, there's gonna be a cleanse. It's we thought it was bad when China ran it. Just wait till the land of the free runs it right into the ground because they never liked TikTok. So either they bought it to kill it, or you're gonna see Meta start dumping Facebook as a dying product like they've done with Instagram.
Well, they bought it to control what is put out to the masses. And if it's Meta or Oracle, expect to be more heavily data mined.
Not just, which is funny because that was the whole reason we couldn't have China. But not just that, but it'll be ads. Like TikTok has never been bad with ads. I will give them credit. I've never felt like they were bad with ads. Facebook, oh my fucking God.
I got off Facebook because I can't stand it. Like, I don't do anything with it because it's that terrible.
I will give Facebook credit right now. They have shifted back a little bit, but they're still, I mean, I'm trying to do my best to get the information out there. Honestly, Alice, some days I'm like, is this even worth it? Because I spend so many times fighting videos, and I do something like this tonight where I'm giving away books for free. I've given away more books not talking to the TikTok audience or the Fat Life audience with just the vanilla audience in my other TikTok stuff. So it is disheartening because I know the stuff I have, there's nothing like it. I've seen people try to rip it off, and I wish they did a better job and it took off. But they always try to make it so simple, and that's what's not good. It's too simple. Oh, just one sheet, and then people want to. They go.
It's just not. It's not good enough. It needs to be complex. It needs to make you take time and take thought. And like you said, you get to a point where you don't care about, well, what do I think they'd want to see on my checklist? Because you can't keep your thoughts straight.
Not after that. It is intense, and it's supposed to be intense because this lifestyle is intense. Remember, my friend, BDSM is not inherently sexual. It is mental. So we think about it. We fill out these surveys. We download the tools. There are now free tools. So, like, my sympathy starts to go down and down and down for people who have the opportunity to download it. Is it everyone yet? No, of course not. So we have a lot more work to do. I want to thank Alice, as always, for their time and getting this 1 year later. And we're going to continue to go past this point. Where we land, we'll be here on YouTube. That's how much I can tell you as of right now. I hope we continue our time on TikTok, though. Look, today's ratings were like ridiculously low. I can't tell if I've pissed off some people because they have their feelings hurt right now because calling BDSM consensual abuse, but they'll all come back. They always do. I've had a few people already circle back and be like, yeah, okay, I get it now. It takes a few days to swallow that pill.
Yeah, it can. It really can. And but I applaud the people who take a step back and think on it and come back and can say, okay, I can see your perspective. I don't like it, but I get it. Then the people who just blindly keep arguing. We need to have that art come back of being able to have civil discourse and like actually try and really absorb what people are saying. And you don't have to like it, but it doesn't mean they're wrong just because you don't like it.
I don't fully like it, but it is what it is, right? And by embracing it, by understanding it, we grow. We get deeper into our thoughts, and hey, maybe this is what it is. All right, Alice. Thanks for being part of this. I'm gonna head off and out of here. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay kinky.